Hi boys and girls, today we are going to be learning how to tell time with an analog clock. I want you to think about a few questions. I'm going to read you the question, then I want you to pause this video and think about what I'm asking you. So here's the first question. Where do you see clocks? Which clocks do you have at home? What time do you have to go to school? What time do you have to go to bed? Think about all of these questions. Okay, so it is important to be able to tell time so that you know what time it is. That way you can find out how much time you have left before you have to do things, like go to bed or go to school. Maybe you have practice for whatever sport you play. So there's a lot of reasons why you need to be able to tell time. This right here is called an analog clock, and we are going to be learning how to tell time on a clock that looks like this. Okay, so the number 12 is always at the top of each clock, right here. So now, what we are going to do is fix this clock. So it says, oh no, the clock fell and broke. Can you put the numbers back on the right spot? So guys, what I want you to do is pause this video, get out a piece of paper, and I want you to draw a clock like mine. And then when you are ready, I want you to hit the play button and check your answers. Ready? Go. Okay guys, so I want you to look at this clock. The 12 always starts right here, okay? We go from numbers 1 through 12 on an analog clock. So that means the 1 goes here. Then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12. So if your clock looks like this, then you did it exactly right. Great job, guys. Okay, so now let's learn about the hands of the clock. So the big hand is called the minute hand, and it's this orange hand right here. You can tell it's a little bit longer than the blue hand. So the big hand is called the minute hand, and it tells us how many minutes have passed after each hour. So the big hand, remember, is the minute hand. It tells us how many minutes have passed. The small hand, which is this little blue hand right here, is called the hour hand, and it tells us what hour it is. So right now it is 1 o'clock on this clock. We have the short hand is on the 1, and the minute hand, the big hand, is on the 12. So this tells us that it is 1 o'clock. Okay, so if the big minute hand goes all the way around the clock, the small hour hand will move forward 1 number. So look over here to the clock on the left. Do you see how both hands are on the 12? Now, when this big hand moves all the way around the clock, it's going to look at the clock like the one on the right, the clock on the right. It will be 1 o'clock because a whole hour has passed time. Okay, so if the minute hand moved another roundabout, or 30 minutes passed, it will be a short hand right past the 1. Minute hand, the big hand, will be on the 6. This shows 1:30. Another thing I want to tell you all about the minute hand. So do you see the numbers 1 through 12 here? So we count by fives, okay? These little tick marks right here represent 1. So look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's why when we get to the numbers, we count by fives. There are 60 minutes and 1 hour. So that is why we stop at 12. Let's count by fives just to refresh, okay? Ready? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. So that's why 12 is the biggest number we have on the clock, because when we count by fives, that's where we get to 60. And remember, 60 minutes is 1 hour. So that's why you see the minute hand, the big hand, on the 12 when it's on the hour mark. Let's look at another time. This time right here is 2 o'clock. Our short hand, the hour hand, is pointing at the 2, and the minute hand is on the 12. So that tells us it is 2 o'clock. Let's do another one. Pause this video and think about what time is shown on the clock. Okay guys, so if you said 2:30, you are right. The hour hand is just past the 2 and the minute hand is on the 6. And remember, we count by fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So this is 2:30. What about this time? Well, this is 3 o'clock. We have an hour hand, the short hand, on the 3, and we have the big hand on the 12. Remember, an hour is 60 minutes. So when the minute hand is on the 12, wherever the short hand is, that is what time it is. So this is 3 o'clock. And we have the hour hand right here, short hand. It's not on the 4 yet. So that means it is still 3, and then count by fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So right here is 3:30. Let's do one more. Okay guys, so this right here is 4 o'clock. We have the short hand on the 4 and the minute hand is on the 12. So this is 4 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to ask you all some questions about the time. I want you to pause the video, think about the answer, and then hit the play button and see if you got the answer right. So which hand tells the hour? The big hand or the short hand? It's the small hand. This one right here, the short hand, small hand. The small hand is going to tell us the hour. Okay, here's your next question. What does the big hand tell you? This is the big hand right here. What is that telling you? The big hand tells me how many minutes have passed this hour. Remember, these little tick marks right here are worth 1 minute each. And when you get to each number, you're counting by fives. Last question. What time is it on this clock? It's 4 o'clock. We have the small hand on the 4 and the big hand on the 12. So that tells us that this is 4 o'clock. All right, let's look at the time. What time is this over here? Okay, we have our small hand on the 11. The minute hand, big hand, is on the 12. So that's going to tell us that it is 11 o'clock. Let's look at another clock. All right, so here's what we have. We have 4 choices down here. Look at the clock. Does this clock say 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 8 o'clock, or 12 o'clock? Think about it. Look at where the hands are on the clock. All right, well, it is 2 o'clock. We have the minute hand on the 12. That's the big hand. The short hand is on the 2. So that tells us that this time is 2 o'clock. All right, I want you to look at these clocks here. Think about which clock says 7 o'clock. Which one is 7 o'clock? All right, guys, so let's look at the first one. The small hand is on the 4, the big hand is on the 12. So that means that this clock gives us the time 4 o'clock. On the middle clock, we have the small hand on the 9 and the big hand on the 12. So that shows us 9 o'clock. And on the last one, The small hand is on the 7. The big hand is on the 12. So the last one shows us 7 o'clock. So you should have went with the third one. Okay, so now it says put the clocks in order, starting with the earliest time. Let's look at the times first, okay? Look at this clock. We look at the shorthand. It's on the 1. Look at the big hand. It's on the 12. So this is 1 o'clock. Let's look at the next one. Shorthand is on the 7. Big hand is on the 12. So this is 7 o'clock. Okay, let's look at the middle one. The shorthand is on the 4. The big hand is on the 12. So this is 4 o'clock. Okay, look at this one. Shorthand is on the 6. Big hand is on the 12. This is 6 o'clock. And the last one. Shorthand is on the 3. And the big hand is on the 12. So this shows 3 o'clock. Alright guys, so we're going to start with 1 o'clock. This is 1 o'clock right here. Move it over. So here's 1 o'clock. Think which one comes next. 3 o'clock. 4 o'clock. 6 o'clock. And 7 o'clock. Great job, guys. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start again with the earliest time. Look at these clocks with me. Shorthand is on the 1. And minute hand is on the 12. So this is 1 o'clock. Both hands are on the 12. That makes it tricky. So that is 12 o'clock. Okay. Shorthand is on the 11. Big hand is on the 12. So this is 11 o'clock. Okay, look at this one. Shorthand is on the 2. Long hand is on the 12. It shows 2 o'clock. And then on our last clock, shorthand is on the 8. Big hand is on the 12. So this is 8 o'clock. Now guys, this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky. Right here it says start with 8 o'clock. So if we're starting with 8 o'clock, then that means this must mean 8 o'clock in the morning. Okay? So we have 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So this is the order from the earliest time. Okay, let's look at this story. It says, Dad is going to walk the dog at 3 o'clock. Look at these clocks down here. Think about which one says 3 o'clock. I want you to pause the video, look at all 3 clocks, and decide which one is going to be 3 o'clock. Okay, guys, so it's not the first one because the shorthand is on the 9, the big hand is on the 12. So this is 9 o'clock. It's not the second one because the shorthand is on the 6 and the big hand is on the 12. So that is 6 o'clock. It is the third one. The shorthand is on the 3, the big hand is on the 12. So this shows 3 o'clock. Okay, Mom will be home from work at 6 o'clock. Which one of these clocks says 6 o'clock? Pause the video and pick the clock that says 6 o'clock. Okay, so it's not the first one. Both hands are on the 12. That means that this shows 12 o'clock. It is the second one because the short hand is on the 6 and the big hand is on the 12. So that does show 6 o'clock. It is not the last one because the short hand is on the 5 and the big hand is on the 12. So that shows 5 o'clock. Let's do one more. It says Grandpa is going to bed at 8 o'clock. Which one of these clocks shows 8 o'clock? Pause the video and figure out your answer. Okay, it's not the first one because the short hand is on the 9 and the big hand is on the 12. That shows 9 o'clock. It's not the second one because the short hand is on the 7 and the big hand is on the 12. That shows 7 o'clock. It is the last one because the short hand is on the 8 and the big hand is on the 12. So this does show 8 o'clock. Okay guys, so now I want you to look at this clock. What time is it? You should have said 2 o'clock. Let's look at another question. It says put them in the right order and start with 7 o'clock. Okay, this is 7 o'clock. And this says 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock. So we need to move the 8 o'clock down here. Check our answer. Okay, guys, so it says which clock matches the story? The whole family sat down at the dinner table at 6 o'clock. Which one of these clocks shows 6 o'clock? Should have said the second clock. On which clock is 1 o'clock? So which one of these clocks says 1 o'clock? It is the last clock. Which clock says 6 o'clock? It's the last clock again. What time is this? I want you to think about it. Okay, the short hand is on the 7, the big hand is on the 12. So that gives us 7 o'clock. What time is this? Both hands are on the 12. So that means it is 12 o'clock. Which clock matches the story? The dog barks because he wants to be walked. Dad will walk the dog at 7 o'clock. Which one of these clocks shows us 7 o'clock? It's the first one. Okay, so now it says the football game on Sunday will start at 3 o'clock. Which one of these clocks shows us 3 o'clock? It's the last one. Let's do one more question. Dad is cooking in the kitchen. The kitchen has to go in the oven, or the kitchen has to go in the oven at 5 o'clock. Which one of these clocks shows 5 o'clock? It's the second one. Okay, guys, so let's just review a little bit. So, why do you need to be able to tell time? Well, remember, telling time is important because when you have an appointment to be somewhere, you need to be able to look at a clock and tell what time it is so you can see how much time you have. What does the big hand tell you? Remember, the big hand tells us how many minutes we have. The big hand is the minute hand. The short hand is the hour hand. Okay, so we are going to look at some stories here, or some pictures with clocks. And I want you to think about what time they need to get up. Let's look at the first picture. This is a little girl with an alarm clock. What time does that alarm clock say? Her alarm clock says 7 o'clock. The short hand is on the 7, the big hand is on the 12. So that gives us 7 o'clock. Let's look at another one. What time is she drinking her coffee? 8 o'clock. The short hand is on the 8, the big hand is on the 12. So it is 8 o'clock. Let's look at the last one. What time does he need to wake up? 10 o'clock. The short hand is on the 10 and the big hand is on the 12. Awesome job today, guys. Thank you for watching.